books today. Hey there, Facebook fam. Hey there, YouTube family. How's it going? Miss Wynn checking in. Welcome back. For those of you who are familiar or who are not familiar, what's up? My name is Aurelia Wynn. I go by Miss Wynn. I'm an author, publisher, and I own a hybrid publishing company by the name of Wynn Publications. And there, it's my mission really to advocate for authors. Today, I put out a post on the Wynn Publications account about being author-centric. As an author myself, man, I know what it's like to have to promote your own stuff, write your stuff, and really handle book publishing like a business. And so because it is my business, it's my full-time job, I am teaching others how to do it, as well as sharing my journey. And so if you have dreams of publishing a book, stick around. If you have to go, I 100% get it. The replay will be up wherever you are watching this. And so again, I'm streaming this on Instagram, on YouTube, and on Facebook Live. So wherever you're watching it at, no worries, the replay will be there. Also, if you see me looking away from the screen, that's just because I am looking at another screen. I want to make sure that I do my best to get to my audience, to get to my readers, to get to my writers wherever you all are. And so that's why it's so important for me to do it this way. Okay, but I don't want to waste your time, so let's jump right into it. Today I am talking about Self-Publishing 101. For those of you on Instagram, this little book, I'm trying to get out of their way so they can see it. This little book, I have a copy of it here. This is not the official copy, but this is what it looks like as well for those on Instagram. If you're on Facebook and YouTube, you can see it pretty good. And I actually wrote this book at the beginning of my career. So I've been in the book publishing industry for about 10 years. And I just was writing reference material for authors because, like I said, I'm an author myself. And really what I was doing is I was organizing my process so that way I can reuse it without having to make so many decisions. I think one of the things that indie authors struggle with, especially when they're first just getting started, is having to make too many decisions. Like, oh, how do I start? What do I write about? I have an idea, but how do I get going? Where should I begin? All of those things are decisions that you have to make. But what if you had a system that was already organized for you? All you have to do was follow the system. Well, that's what this book is about, Self-Publishing 101, how to write a book from start to publish workbook. And so it has exercises to help you complete your book from the first idea to publish and beyond. And so it's actually 7 steps that I'm going to give you today. Each of these steps can be its own video. And so I'm going to do my best just to give you the highlights. I don't want to be on live for so long. And so we'll be here. I mean, we'll see how long, but it's 7 steps. I want to make sure that I get through all of them. Hello. How's it going? And so before we even begin, you are going to want to have a plan, right? And so you're already, before you even start actually writing the book itself, you are going to want to have a plan. And I talk about this in the book on page 8. It's called Creating a Plan to Completion. Okay. And so if you do not have a plan, it is going to be hard for those days where you don't feel like doing it. Every day, you're not going to feel like working on this book. Trust me, there will be some times where life is lifing and you're not going to want to work on the book. Well, every day that you're not working on the book is another day that has passed. And so don't waste time. Let's get the book written. So the first thing, like with accomplishing anything, is you're going to want to write down your goal. Obviously, if you are here learning how to write a book, then your goal would be to write the book and then possibly publish it. But we don't want to get ahead of ourselves. We want to just first write the book. Okay, we first want to come up with a plan to write the book. So your plan needs to include your goal, right? Write that down and then give yourself a deadline. Some authors choose to take a full year to write their book. Some will give themselves 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months. Consider what's going on in your life currently. If you know that life is just busy, you're working a full-time job, you don't have a whole lot of extra time, you're going to want to take that into account and give yourself a deadline. And then you're going to want to write the steps down that you need to take to accomplish your goal. Or you're going to want to go ahead and get this book, Self-Publishing 101, because I already have the steps written down to help you complete your goal of writing and publishing your book. And then you're also going to want to think about your budget. I know so many authors ask me, Aurelia, how much does it cost to publish a book? Well, it depends. But before you even look at that, you need to check your personal budget and see how much money do you have to spend on investing in this dream of yours. And so once you have that idea, then you can begin to make moves. And so first thing first, come up with a plan to completion. The very next thing after that is you're going to want to decide on why. Why do you want to publish a book? Why do you want to write a book in the first place? You know, some people do it because it's just an achievement. Some people do it because, I don't know, they are creative writers. It's a way for them to express themselves. Others will write and publish a book because for them, it's another stream of income. Whatever your reason is, make sure that it is profound enough for you, right? If your book if your reason why, if your purpose for writing your book is not strong enough, the chances of you completing it then become less and less likely. And so you're going to want to keep that in mind. Come up with a reason, a profound enough reason for you to write your book. Where to purchase your book? Good question. I will drop the link in the comments on Facebook. If you're wondering where you can buy the book, it is available on Amazon as well as misswin.com. And so if you visit any of those, just type in Self-Publishing 101 and then my name, Aurelia Wynn. It should come up, but I can include the links as well. If you're on Instagram, I will include the link in an Instagram story after this. And so make sure that you stick around for that. Okay, so once you have your plan, you've decided what your reason why is for why you're writing this book. The next step number 2, is going to be to write. Write every day, matter of fact, okay? Write every day so that way you can pick up some momentum. I found that if I'm not writing every day, next thing I know, 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 days will have passed. And the next thing I know, a whole month will have passed. And then and I'm like, oh no, I need to get back to my writing. Instead of having to get back to your writing like that after weeks have passed, just be committed to writing every day until your book is written. And you can start by brainstorming, right? How do you write the book? You just start by brainstorming. Brainstorm, get all of the ideas and thoughts out of your mind. A couple years ago, I was telling authors, right now, think later. start writing right now, and then think about all of the structure, all of that later. Because if you're thinking about that first, about, oh man, how will I publish this, how will I you're gonna face blocks because you're not focused. A lot of times a writer's block can be a signal that you're actually not focused, and that you might want to come back to it when you are focused. And so write every day, whether it be for an hour, 15 minutes. Again, you have to take stock of your time. You have to take stock of how much time in a day can you actually focus on writing. For me, I know that if I focus an hour of my time on writing, I can at least get down 2,000 words. Okay. And I know that for the type of books I like to write, I need at least 36,000, 50,000, 75,000 words sometimes. And so I know that if I'm writing 2,000 words a day, every day, all I got to do is do the math to figure out how many days it's going to take me to finish writing the book. Did you catch that? So you're going to want to maybe even time yourself, right? Day one, after you've brainstormed, you've gotten all of the ideas out of your head, you've kind of gotten everything that you wanted to say, you're not really worried about the structure of the book, then you're going to want to actually start writing the book, but you're going to want to time yourself. You're going to want to say, okay, in 1 hour, how many words did I get down on the page? Okay. And then after that hour, look at it and say, okay, it took me about 1 hour to come up with, let's say, 1,000 words. It took you an hour to come up with 1,000 words. And let's say you want to publish a nonfiction book. And most nonfiction books have, most nonfiction books have between 25 and 50,000 words. Okay. And so you know that if you want to write 35,000 words altogether, it's going to take you about 35 days if you are writing for an hour every day. And so when you do it like that, that should give you some motivation to write every day, to not waste time, to not get sidetracked. That should motivate you to focus on writing. And so the first thing is you're gonna have to hello, Emily just coming in to say hi. So that basically covers writing, right? So writing, create your writing schedule, set your writing goals, and doing this, being committed to writing every day for an hour, or being committed to writing at least 1,000 words every day, and calculating, okay, figuring out, okay, I know that this genre that I want to write in has about 50,000 words. That means if I do 1,000 words every day, it'll take me 50 days to write this book, right? And from there, you can start to plan the next step, which is hiring an editor. So step 3 is hiring an editor. And so the role of an editor is to polish your work after you have already polished your work. That's right. I highly suggest that you do some self-editing before you work with an editor. And this will ensure that just time is not wasted for them, and it's not wasted for you as well. And so doing something like a Grammarly edit, writing your book through Grammarly, it's going to be so helpful to you and to your editor. Now, there's so many different kinds of editors. There is the developmental editor, the copy editor, the proofreader, someone who assesses your manuscript, all of those different type of editors, copy editor, line editor, all of those different type of editors do different things for your book. And so keep that in mind. You might want to first have an editor read your book and tell you what kind of edit they think that you need. And then you're going to also want to get second and third opinions, right? Just to ensure that they're not just trying to sell you something because they need to make a sale. And it's actually really sad that I have to say that, but trust, verify, and also, just do your homework. Do your homework. Don't put all of your eggs in one basket. Most of your favorite authors have a team of editors. And so keep that in mind. You're an author. You're on your way to become an author if you're not one already. And so it is an option to have a team of editors. Like, don't feel bad if you work with more than one editor. Your editor is not going to feel bad. Most editors will not feel some type of way because you decided to work with somebody else. They should be encouraging it, and just keep in mind that editors are human. They're not robots. Even Grammarly and even working with any kind of AI editing software is going to miss something. And so even when it comes to editing, it's important to have a style guide where you tell your editor about the little nuances and about your style. And so if you're using slang, your editor needs to know that. If you're using a certain type of vernacular, your editor needs to know that. If you're switching between different languages, your editor needs to know that. And so just keep that in mind as you're preparing to work with an editor. Okay. And also, each of these steps that I'm telling you is a chapter in the workbook. And so if I'm going through this pretty fast, we're already on step 4 out of 7. If I'm going through this pretty fast, that is why I have put all of this information in this book, Self-Publishing 101, How to Write a Book from Start to Publish. I put everything that you need to know, and you can take your time with it. It's a workbook, so that way it's like your guide through the writing and publishing process. Okay, and so there's more things in there to help you with each of these steps. Okay. So after you are working with an editor, the very next thing is you're going to want to promote your book. The question that authors ask and writers ask me all the time is, when should I start promoting my book? I think, if you're going to be consistent and you're committed to it, you should start promoting your book the day that you get the idea to write it. And if you know yourself and you're like, man, I'm the type that likes to start stuff and sometimes it takes me a while to finish it and I don't really want to keep people waiting, blah, blah. If you're that type, that's okay, but you have to know yourself. And so if you're that type, you might want to wait until your book at least gets with an editor. Okay? Wait till your book gets with an editor and then start promoting it, because then at least it's on its way. The book is written. Now it just is with an editor. So you're going to want to start, working on your social media if you have not already started doing that. And let me tell you, it is really hard to sell books when you do not have an audience. And so I highly suggest that you start building an audience on social media. Social media is free. Okay, for the most part, all it takes is time and effort. So start doing that. Start thinking about book signings. I know for a lot of authors, the most economical thing to do for a book signing is like a virtual book signing. Also a blog tour, reaching out to different book bloggers and posting, seeing if they'll let you do a guest post. I know that's something that Renaissance Reads, we're working on, is creating an opportunity for indie authors to write for our blog and help them reach even more readers with us. And so make sure that you're following and that you stay tuned for more information about that. But you're going to want to promote the heck out of your book even before it's done. Even before it's done. It takes, if you're consistently doing something every day, let's say you post at least one time a day for 90 days with a strategy and with a plan and with a little bit of knowledge behind you, you should see some movement in your audience. And while so many people like to say, oh, follower count doesn't matter, it's a good gauge for how many people are hooked to what you're doing, how many people are watching what you are doing. It's a good indicator for how many people are in your audience. And so it's important to know that. And it's important to strive to increase your followers. It's not a vanity metric like people like for you to think. It's one of the many key metrics to help you identify where you are as an author. And so that's just something to keep in mind. And especially if one day you're wanting to work with a traditional publishing house, they're going to want to see links to your social media. Also, if you're wanting to get grants at some point for book publishing, you're going to need to show your social media links as well. And so having a presence online is important. You know, it's important. There's no way around it. It makes me cringe when I see content creators out there suggesting that authors do not need to be on social media. I think that's so wrong. You have to put effort into this. This is just like another job. It can be another job, and it could be really rewarding if you put the time and the energy into it. And so keep that in mind. Okay, step number 5, design for your audience, right? A lot of times I come across authors who, they write their book and then they get to the point where it's time to publish it, and the book gets published and then it doesn't sell. And then you start doing some research only to find that they did not have their audience in mind when they designed their cover, that they didn't do any research when it came to the design of their book. And so make sure that, even if it doesn't matter how you design your book cover, and by that I mean it doesn't matter if you are going to pay someone to design your book cover or if you are going to design your book cover yourself, you have to be knowledgeable about what the covers look like in your genre. If you're doing a children's book, a poetry book, a memoir, it's going to be important that you know what those book covers look like, right? And so make sure that you're getting that knowledge and that you're taking notes. And so when it comes time to designing your book cover, you'll be able to say, okay, boom, this is how I want my book cover to look. You could even take screenshots of similar books that are in your genre for your cover designer or for yourself for inspiration for later. Okay. And you're going to now, after you decide how your book is going to look, then, after you get your book back from the editor, the next step is going to be to have your book formatted, or it's going to be to format your book. And so at Win Publications, I do the book formatting. It's something that I love doing. If you're interested in working with me, check me out at winpublications.com, and I would love to work with you and help you with your book formatting. And so otherwise, I have a ton of content online about how you can format your book yourself. If you have Adobe InDesign, I actually have a book formatting template that all you have to do is just download it, and it works with Adobe InDesign. Okay, and so check out some of those resources. I can leave links in the description at the end of this live stream. After your book is designed, your cover is designed, after your book is formatted, step number 6 is going to be to publish the book. Okay. And there's multiple ways that you can get your book published. You can publish your book yourself through self-publishing, or you can work with a hybrid publisher like Win Publications to have your book published. You can also hang on one second. Yeah, thank you. Will you press the lock button on there? Okay. It is a busy afternoon. Okay, so you can either opt to work with a traditional self-publisher, or you can work with a hybrid publisher like Win Publications, or you can self-publish it. However you publish it, listen up. You do not have to publish alone. You don't have to publish alone. Even if you do decide to self-publish, you can self-publish with support. Every step that I said can either be done by yourself, or it can be done by a professional, right? Earlier today on Instagram, I shared about, launching your book should be done kind of with a team. Who do you know that can help you launch your book? Who do you know that can read your book and write a review? And call on those people and see if they'd be willing to help you launch your book and get things rolling. But yeah, so that will be the next step. Publish that bad boy, even if it's for yourself. Can I tell you about this? I recently published a book. I'm calling it a vision board book, and I basically just published it for myself. I like having workbooks. I like journaling. I like doing those things. And so it made sense for me to write out my vision and to make it plain. My vision board book actually is like a scrapbook. So it not only has visuals, it not only has like cutouts of images and photos and things like that and illustrations, but it also has words. It has a lot of words, right? And so that's something that you can do. Whatever you do, publish it. Even if it's for yourself, publish it. But if you publish it and you make it available for the public, that's even better, because then step 7 is make money in your sleep. Like I said earlier, maybe your reason for publishing a book is because you want to make some passive income. Well, in order to make passive income, it takes work. It takes work at the beginning to get the momentum going. And so that takes the writing the book, that takes editing it, that takes making sure it has a good looking cover. That means making sure that the formatting is top notch and it looks professional and it's up to the book publishing standards. Yes, there are book publishing standards. And so after you get the book published, maybe you first do the paperback version or you have a hardcover version, do that, publish it. And then consider doing an audiobook version. That's been something that I've had readers ask me for, is audiobook versions of the books that have already been published. And so at Win Publications, that is something that I am looking to do, planning on it in the future. And so keep that in mind. And then after that, it would be merchandise. What merchandise can you sell from your book? And look at what other authors who are in the industry are currently doing and go from there. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You don't have to rack your brain for what you can do. Look at what others are doing and get inspired to do it for yourself. Okay, and so that's it. Today we went over the 7 steps of how to write a book from start to published. We talked about the ideation. We talked about planning. We talked about deciding on your why, on writing the actual book, on hiring editors, on promoting, on designing your book for an audience, on publishing, and on making money in your sleep. And so I hope that you found this to be so valuable and so helpful towards you. Leave any questions that you have in the comments below. And I will be back again on live on Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern and Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern. And so I see that a lot of people have joined, more people have joined during this time. So let's see what happens. Earlier I did share, like, I don't know. I don't know. I'm still getting my footing when it comes to being back on social media. And so I am having a good time. I'm really enjoying this. And so we'll see if we still continue to do it live, or if I go to some pre-recorded stuff and just dropping that and sharing that with you also. So let's see how it goes. But until then, I hope you have a good day, and I will see you in another video. All right. Have a good day. Bye.